Today, on this rainy Sunday, I'm going to give you a bit of a tour of Elias and Rainier's brand new cubby house. Now it's not a surprise for them because I've been building this thing for over a year. Got way out of hand, but here's the finished product. So where it all started was obviously every family needs a cubby house. And there's not that many flat spots here, except for this little spot, which was, I think, like a little absorption drain for our house there. You can sort of see the terracotta pipes going down in this area here. So I thought, yep, I'll build a bit of a cubby house here, and I thought you can't have to have the cubby house down on the ground. It's got to be something you climb up in. So I thought I'll put it on stilts and put a sandpit underneath. The advantage being that, the sand it's dry under there, so it's an all-weather kind of little play area for them. And how it got so big was that I had all this form ply left over from a job. It's worth about $60 a sheet, and I thought, well, that'll be the floor. They're about 2.4 by 1.2, or they're exactly 2.4 by 1.2. And so I thought, well, one's too small. 2's about right, and 3 is getting a bit excessive, but anyway, I ended up choosing 3 bits of form ply. So that's how the floor dimensions came about. I'm not sure how I chose the height. Maybe to sort of fit this slippery slide that I bought locally. Now these are very hard to get, and I managed to find like an industrial scale playground manufacturer or assembler down here in Cambridge, and they had one of these things on the top shelf of their pallet racking, which was an experiment that they made themselves, and they couldn't do it effectively. You can sort of see the imperfections here, but anyway, that's a pretty neat slippery slide when you compare it to what you can get from a Bunnings or something, and it was about $600. So that's kind of the flagship accessory to this cubby house. So I bought that, and perhaps I sort of made the height to try and get that all set up. You sort of think that you can do a fair bit of this just out of recycled stuff, and you absolutely can, but I just kept finding myself going back and forwards to the hardware store. You just can't find this sort of straight, strong structural stuff at the tip shop. And if you would, it'd take you years to accumulate all the bits. And so those floor joists there, 90 by 45s, they're treated. It's probably $100 at least of timber just there. And then you've got these things, for instance, which are barely strong enough to support it, but each one of those had cost a fair bit, so it wasn't a cheap exercise. I'd say several $1,000s in it, and even still most of the stuff's been salvaged. This ladder, I just bought off Gumtree for $10, one of those old school painter's ladders. You managed to saw it off and make that the steps. So here's inside. It's got power, and it's my head's about there, so it's kind of semi-child, semi-adult spec, and I did that with a view, well, even as 12-year-olds and teenagers, I enjoyed at least sleeping out and having my own little space. So I kind of designed it with that in mind, and I did think for a while of having a loft in here, and that still can be done, but it just got way out of hand, and putting the like the loft, I guess, at this height meant that it's going to foul up over here with this window, and it all just got a bit hard, so I said I'll park that and do it later. All these windows are off Gumtree. This one, for instance, was like $40. Really good window, and then I had it up against a wall here somewhere, and it blew over and smashed. So thanks to brother-in-law Matt for fixing all the glass there and the glass in this little one. But I kind of built the cubby house around these windows and around this door. And the doors we got for free. It's just a normal door, but I just cut it through here, and then just put this bit on top to shorten it, and that's that. Things like this. We had a door that we pulled out here in the house, and I just, all this sort of crap's been hanging around the shed for ages, and I remembered, I've got a doorknob somewhere, so all this has been, reused stuff. So yeah, it's got power. I thought, well, it'd be a good place to hang out and play your Atari when you're 10 years old. So I ran power, a couple of power points. Got a light here. At the moment, it's got Christmas lights in it, which impress the neighbours, I guess. And we've got this little 3-gang light switch here. So we've got an outside light, like so. Normal light in here. And what's the third switch, you ask? Well, I'll show you. And this is just me getting out of hand. So the sandpit is illuminated. So when it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the middle of winter, these spoilt little kids can come down here and play in their sandpit. Or of a night time, the local wildlife can have a poo in there with the lights on. So Emily's got some work to decorate this. I've handballed it, if you like, the project from here on for her to decorate the interior. I've painted it all in here. Ceiling white, and the ceiling the same colour as in our house because I had all the paint left over for all the trim and stuff. All this trim was salvaged from a off gum tree, placing battery point, pulled it out. All this lining is it's weird stuff. It's this stuff that when furniture makers, like kitchen cabinet makers, buy like a flat pack of material, like bench top or that sort of thing, or the chipboard the laminated chipboard that you make kitchens out of. They've got that stuff, which is like an MDF sort of board, but variable in thickness to protect it. So they were about $10 a sheet. So I probably bought $100 of lining there and lined it out. It's all insulated right round, walls and the roof. The weatherboards are from a place in Battery Point and a place in Chigwell. The roofing iron was like $70 from the tip shop there. Ridge capping, $10 from a roofing place. They just had it in their shed as surplus stock, and the trim was from Papa Hutchie, who had that there. So it took a long time. Took me over a year. I probably started in August last year, and now it's December the following year. So over a year to make. Lots of weekends, and I hope the kids play in it. The power, you can sort of see down there the flexible conduit running. That goes in that terracotta pipe. I wasn't about to trench all the way up to the house, and I just ran it up and conduit up the flexible conduit up the terracotta pipe, which kind of ends here at the underneath this downpipe, and I've just got it running down, drilled a hole through the wall when it's under the house, and I've just got it plugged into a power point under there so we can isolate it if we want. And that is Elias and Rainier's cubby house.